Hi, this is Andrea with the Attuned Tribe. Welcome to our first video in the Chakra series. Today I'm going to be doing a group Biofield tuning for the root chakra. I won't be going into a lot of detail about what Biofield tuning is. I would encourage you to look at our intro video and also biofieldtuning.com to go more into depth about what this work is. Essentially, it combines sound healing as well as energy healing elements, okay? But the energy, I will be tuning into the group collective for the energy today, and that will go out to anybody who ever watches this. The energy will remain in the container of this video and always be ready and present for you, okay? And then be sure to check out our other videos on the root chakra, and there will be a Reiki attunement with Maxine, and then she and I will be combining to do an inner child group meditation also centered around the root chakra. So please tune in for those. And follow along as we continue to go through the rest of the chakra series. So basically your job during a biofield tuning session is to, I suggest laying down, closing your eyes, and you're mostly going to focus on your breath. You want to really stay focused inside of your body on what's happening for you. You may feel a lot of things and you may feel nothing, and either one is okay. The real important thing is just to pay attention to that breath and pay attention to what is coming up for you, okay? That could be emotions, that could be physical sensations, okay? And as I said, anything or nothing is all okay. All right. So one thing I want to ask you to do when you're focusing on your breathing is to imagine your exhale going down out of your feet and or your tailbone, okay, whichever you're able to connect with better, okay? So breathing in and exhaling out your feet or tailbone, okay? And that's really all there is for you to do. Lay back, relax, and listen and tune in, okay? I would say try not to sleep. It is better if you can stay present and pay attention, as I said, to what's happening in your body. Sometimes people will fall asleep. Don't worry too much about it if that does happen too, okay? If there's any other additional comments or questions, please put them below, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Before we get started here, I will go a little bit more into depth about the root chakra, okay? So on our Biofield anatomy map, the root chakra really symbolizes your overall energy, okay? It's also your sense of security and home and tribe. In some other modalities, you might see, people saying that it's the root of your survival, of stability, safety, and it can also be linked to your adrenal glands, okay? But it's really tied to your instincts and your basic needs as well, okay? So those are all kind of the main themes that we see rooted around the root chakra, okay? So, and then when you have any kind of imbalance in the root chakra, some things that you might see are things that we want to be doing, being, or having, and those needs are unmet, okay? And then the other side of that is when you have this busyness and overdoing and overthinking, but it's like unproductive, okay? It's like that action that we do that's a distraction away from thinking and feeling, okay? It's overthinking, but that overthinking is actually kind of a distraction away from what's actually happening, right? Coming into the body and feeling is what we want to do. So that's what we'll guide you through today. Okay, and then also if you want to connect to a sound to kind of additionally loosen, connect in with, release around the root chakra, the sound that we like to use in that space is wah, okay? So at any point in the session, if you'd like to connect in deeper, you can come to that sound wah and really feel it down in your root chakra, okay? If you're not aware, the root chakra is like down between our legs, like right at the bottom of our tailbone there. So you can focus the sound there. And just watch how that vibrates and notice how that feels to bring in that additional toning, that additional sound, that additional vibration. Okay, we kind of like to do that too. You can use your voice as your own tuning fork as well. Okay. Okay, well, we are going to go ahead and get started here, and so please go ahead and get relaxed. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start out with just kind of an abbreviated grounding here. In a personal session, this would be extended a little bit, but with the group process, we'll just make sure that everybody's nice and grounded. So take a deep breath. And imagine roots growing down out of your feet and reaching deep into the earth, way down deep into that dark, rich soil, so we can create that nice, strong foundation for ourselves. Keep that breath going. Okay, very nice. Now, I'm going to get started on your root chakra. And so what I'm going to do is come out to the edge of your biofield here, kind of in line. I've got crystals showing me where approximately the chakras are on our hologram body for the whole group collective here. And I'm just going to work my way in. And essentially what we have here is a timeline of our life. With this being, zero, birth, conception, and as we get to the body, we get to our present age. So in biofield tuning, we sweep and clear and comb this area and to find any stuck energy, any densities, and that are related to this theme, related to this chakra, releasing as we go, okay? So everybody take a nice deep breath again here as I start to connect in with the group energy field. As I move through here, sometimes I'll be silent, sometimes I will be describing to you what I'm noticing and feeling. And what I am noticing and feeling right off the bat is I'm feeling that busyness feeling already, right from the start. It feels a little jumpy and buzzy and chaotic. So for any of you who came into this world, hot off the presses, ready to roll, or if you had a birth experience that was a little chaotic. Or we were born into a family that was very chaotic, right? I'm seeing families that have lots of kids. Yeah, there's a little alarm there, so anything that may have been traumatic right off of the bat, a more traumatic birth, maybe coming in to this life with health issues right off the bat. So what I'm doing here as I move through the field is I'm using the tuning fork as my antenna. I'm using my own body as the antenna. I'm in this energy, right? I can sense and feel things in my body. I can sense and feel things through the fork, through listening to the fork. Every time the tone kind of goes up and gets louder, I know that we're kind of hitting on something that's, something that sticks out, something that was an event, something that that triggered some density to be collected in your field. And why that happens is because these things don't get fully processed. They don't get a chance to finish, okay? We weren't told how. We weren't supported in that. Very few of us were, okay? And those are things that we have to take responsibility for now. Going back and cleaning these things up, cleaning up our field, clearing out the old debris, the old stuck, stagnant energy. That's our responsibility now. Regardless of the circumstances that we were born into, regardless of the things that happened to us, at the end of the day, we have to take care of ourselves, show up for ourselves. And so these things that got stuck are, like I said, things that weren't finished, right? Times when other people didn't show up for us the way that we needed to, that we didn't show up for ourselves the way that we needed to. And so we just want to go back and kind of melt this down, right? I like to see these stuck moments as ice cubes. And when we bring the fork in and bring our attention to it, we can melt that ice cube down. And then we kind of get access back to that moment, right? That stuck moment when we melt that ice cube. And then we're going to scoop it back into the body here. And I'll explain more about that as we go along. So take a nice big deep breath here again. We are releasing something that feels pretty stagnant here. I might switch up my fork. There's no rhyme or reason why I switch forks. It's just whatever feels right in the moment. Let me give it one more ring here. So I've come in from the edge of the field a little bit, so we're still kind of in those younger years. I'm going to say around 3 or 4. This is a weighted fork, so they don't make as much of a tone. They really just have a nice vibration. I love using them to really break up this stuck energy and just really shake it out. And you also can shake it out, okay? So if you feel the need to move your body, and I actually do kind of feel like that right now, like my feet want to march and jump and move a little bit. So really paying attention to your body, like I said, as we go along here and doing what it wants, okay? Because as we're moving stuck energy and allowing it to release and flow out of us, sometimes it wants some help, right? Sometimes it needs a sound, sometimes it needs movement, sometimes it needs emotion to be released, right? So your job is really to stick with whatever that is. Giving your body what it needs right now, tuning into the wisdom of your body as we move through this, okay? So, like I said, I'm feeling it in my feet, like I want to march and stomp it out. Keep that breath going. You'll hear me take a lot of big breaths. And sometimes it'll drop in for us what this is about, and other times it won't. And either way is okay, right? The forks are still doing their job. Your body is still doing its job to break this up. But when I really do stop and tune into it here for a moment, I'm just really getting that home, family, tribe vibe right in this spot. It's just, very few of us had a perfect childhood. And it just feels like that feeling of just kind of growing up in a chaotic home. Like what I said when I first entered the field. I feel like that feeling is still here. It's just a chaotic home environment. It doesn't feel stable, maybe not always safe. So anywhere that that's true for you, just take a nice deep breath into that, okay? Go ahead and be present with it and let that go, okay? So no toxic positivity here, right? We don't want to just let things go, right? They have to be experienced and finished and able to let them go. So the way that we do that is stay present with it, stick with it, and let yourself feel it. That's the only way that we can finish. Okay, and then offering support, compassion, love, and kindness to that part of ourselves that experienced that in that moment, that lived through that. Okay, because that's that's the other part of this, is giving ourselves the things that we didn't get in that time, right? Not only finishing the stuck emotion from that moment, but giving ourselves now, going back and giving ourselves the things that we needed in that moment. That those people who didn't show up for us, well, there's nobody else here who's gonna show up for us now. We have to do that, right? So finding it within our own heart, within our own selves, to have love and compassion for this 3 to 4 year old child, right? Really looking them in the face, looking them in the eyes, seeing the experience that they went through, and choosing to show up for them now. Okay, that feels like that's breaking down and starting to move. You're doing a great job. Stay with that little you. Keep looking them in the face. Okay? Okay. Switching back. I'm going to feel this out here. Keep that breath going. Let's bring in that wah, wah, wah. So when we tone, don't worry about it sounding good. Don't worry about who's listening, girl, boy, friend, whoever you are, right? Let's just tune in and be willing to be present with yourself. Be willing to be present with your body, and just offering yourself this moment, offering yourself this sound, okay? The vibration of the wah, right down in the tailbone, right down, all the way down in this root, in your front pelvic. Wah. You can make it sound however you want. You can switch it up. Wah, 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 wah. Play with it. See what feels good. I feel like we're coming up to these early teenage years now. And this is that time where, we start to move away from that home, tribe, family a little bit, or, that picture just starts to shift as we bring in more friends. They start to become a bigger part of our tribe. We start to establish more of that independence. And so that whole picture of tribe, and even, sometimes that the definition of family starts to change, right? We start to realize that we can create our own family with the friends that we choose and the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. And how important that is, who you choose to surround yourself with, how that affects you, okay? And the patterns that we might be still being carried forward from what we've learned from our families so far at this point, right? So watching how those relationship patterns will continue to roll themselves out as we move into these new relationship situations. Yeah, okay, big breath. So it's a confusing time. There can be a lot of peer pressure. Oh, I just got chills all the way down. Notice what you're feeling in your body right now. What does your body need for you to do right now? Does it need for you to keep breathing? I'm feeling, yeah, the fork agrees with me. I'm feeling a little panic right here. Just these new social situations that we enter into around that age can become really intense sometimes, and can be panic-inducing, trying to make these decisions, trying to decide who we want to be. Yeah. Some really intense things happening around this age. I'm really, getting that we're around 13. I'm still hanging out in that spot. I might switch up my fork. Okay. So, when I'll mention specific ages, and it doesn't matter if anything specific pops in for you around that age. Especially in these group sessions, remember that I'm aiming for the collective here. So, yeah, this is still very intense in this spot. Some of this is going to hit for you and some of it's not. And I don't want you to go up into your head and try to search for a memory, right? Just let it be. Just keep breathing, keep focusing in on your body, and just notice what you notice. Notice what does come up, notice what's there, but you don't have to go searching for it, okay? Just really stay present with your body and your breath. Okay. We've been sitting here for a while, so I'm going to switch up this fork now. Moving to my 144. Yeah. Yeah. Still a lot of intense energy in here. Those early teenage years, so much going on, so much changing in our bodies, in our lives. Really intense spot here, guys. I'm picking up just on a little bit of that, moving through puberty and how awkward and intense that can be. So many different experiences, when our bodies are moving through that. Okay. I feel like we're shifting that now. Good work, y'all. Staying with it. Okay. So I keep hearing that, 13 to 26, that's just a lot of these patterns really took place over that whole time period. Just establishing those social relationships, establishing our independence, deciding who we want to be, going through developmental changes, going through so many different life changes in that time span. I feel like we're dealing with that whole pattern here, like 13 to 26. And again, if you're younger than 26, no worries. just taking what applies for you here. Getting some tension up in this third eye area. Just a lot of like emotion coming through. I'm just tuning into just how fast life moves. You know, in that age range, there's so many changes, so much going on. It's coming at us fast, you know, it's that busy, chaotic, and it's almost like built into the schedule for kids now, right? Especially here in the US, just busy schedules that these kids have. You know, and it just keeps going on, you know, all through high school, all through college, you know, or even if they don't go to college, you know, dumping right into jobs, and, you know, by 26, a lot are jumping into families and stuff by that point as well. It's very, very fast-paced part of life. And so what happens in that is that it's hard to slow down and notice how you're feeling, and notice what's happening for you. You know, in addition to the fact that we're not really taught to do that, most of us, right? We weren't taught to slow down and feel our emotions and make sure that we're processing everything properly. You know, I feel as time goes on, we're starting to do a little bit better job kind of helping our kids start moving through some of that stuff. But so many of us were not taught to deal with it, or, I mean, and taught the opposite too, right? Like, you know, buckle in, you know, just keep moving, like, yeah. I always feel like the fort gets very loud when it agrees with me. Just the way that we were, you know, that taught to shut down, right? Like, you gotta like keep it all in and hold it all together and keep charging forward and get it all done, right? Thank God that they're starting to slow down a little bit, pay a little bit more attention to mental health, start paying attention a little bit more to, you know, allowing kids a mental health day, things like that. They're going through so much, and they really, really, really do need that time to slow down and process. So everywhere that you still need to slow down and process, okay? Give yourself that time right now. That's what we're here for. Okay, so let it be here, okay? Yeah. There we go. Starting to come in a little more here. Keep that breath going. So we've got a spot here that's about 10 inches off the body, and it's called the ancestral river, and it's really just a spot where we can connect in with our ancestors, prior and future. Okay, so just imagine yourself standing in this river with the water flowing, right? And we've got this, just the generations flowing, right? And so what happens in this spot is a lot of times the ancestors will show up to support you, to support these changes that you're making. And also they'll show up to receive that healing for themselves as well, right? Every place where they you know, still have those things to work on. Everywhere where they want to be able to share in these benefits with you, okay? So, everywhere that you're open and willing to share those benefits and receive in that support. And as soon as we got here, I feel like the room just got really crowded because there's a lot of support showing up. And for all of you that are watching and will ever watch the video here, so. Okay, we're continuing to move and sweep in here. And we're coming on top of the body, which is going to bring us closer to present time. And the energy can tend to get a little more dense here as we, the antenna of the tuning fork, really tunes into what's happening inside the body in this area. And it is feeling dense, heavy, slow right here, and painful. Right, lots of physical ailments that can take place in this area. We're talking about all through here, okay, for this root chakra space. Yeah. Any injuries, any accidents? Just gonna kind of break up some of that stagnation now. I'm getting scar tissue, right? A lot of women with endometriosis and things like that. Lots of surgeries happening in this area. Just makes it very sticky right here. Bring lots of breath in. Bring in that wah again, okay? When we're right here over the body, however it sounds, don't be shy. Whatever that feels like for you, trust your body. Wah, 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 wah. Sing it. Wah, wah. However it feels good. Okay, just bring that sound and breath right down in here. Use your voice as the tuning fork to just assist us in breaking up this density, this pain, this scarred tissue, whatever applies for you. Lots of deep breaths, okay? And remember to bring that exhale down out through the bottom of your feet, the bottom of your tailbone. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's feeling ready to drop in now. So, before I was talking about the ice cubes that we melt down, okay, and then we're scooping that melted water right back into this central part of the chakra here, okay? And now we're dumping it into the central part of the chakra so that it can be recycled, okay? It's no longer stuck energy. It's no longer stagnant. We were able to melt it down and move it and bring it back, okay? We're bringing it back. Feeling like we have a lot left to dump in here yet. We're moving a lot of energy for a lot of people. So keep breathing. I'm getting warm. Feeling it all move here. Keep doing that wah if that feels good. Okay. All right, that's feeling better. So now that we've got it all dumped in, now we want to warm it up, right? Our bodies are 98 degrees. That was a cold melted ice cube. So now we're just given that chance for that water that we've just dumped back in, that stuck energy, to be reintegrated, okay? We can think of it as mixing paint or warming up the water. All right, I think we're there. And now we're going to start creating a new pathway here, okay? So we've broken up the stuck energy, we've brought it back to the central part of the body to be recycled, and now it's ready to be reused, okay? So we get to create this pathway for what we want to do with this, okay? What do we want to do with this energy now that it's been returned to us, now that it's been recycled, okay? What intentions do you want to set around this root chakra energy? Home, tribe, family, stability, safety. How do you want that to look as you move forward in your life? Ooh, that's nice. Stick with it. Keep breathing with me here. There we go, guys. Very nice job. Okay, so that was the left side. And on that left side, just as a reminder, okay, we were working with the things that we want to be doing, having, being those unmet needs. Okay, so really coming in with that busyness, that overdoing, that overthinking. Okay, and even though we did deal with some chaotic energy on that other side, it'll be interesting what shows up on this side as we move to that busyness and overdoing, okay? Let's jump in here. All right, you may not see me for a moment. It doesn't matter. Just stick with your breath. Stick with what's happening in your body. As we come into the edge on the right side of the root chakra. I feel a little wave of dizziness right off the bat. And it just feels very unstable, wobbly, dizzy. Like I feel like I'm tumbling in a wave even. Take a big deep breath and drop into your body. See what you're noticing here. Like it's just hard to get my footing underneath me right off the bat. Just came in, like I said, same on the other side, just came in on the run, ready to go or not, here we go, like jumping into the deep end, getting caught up in that wave. And I'm feeling a lot of heat moving through, so a lot of energy moving already. Just stick with it and breathe, guys. Pay attention to your body. If you need to move, if you need to make sounds, if you need to release emotion. Okay, however this is showing up for you. And I'm feeling pain and tension across my shoulders, up into my neck. It's just like bracing yourself, right? There's just so much happening, so much intense energy. Hard to get your feet under you to like be able to, take a breath and catch up, and even like, trying to get a sense of what's going on here. And so I feel that like, shrugging up your shoulders and tensing up your, your shoulders and your neck, and like bracing yourself for the impact, right, of another wave that's going to come and hit you before you've even had a chance to catch your breath. So it's no wonder that we get caught up in these patterns of busyness and overdoing and overthinking, because we're just thrown right into it from day one, it seems like. Life just moves so fast these days, right? It's not this slow, easy moving, laid back environment that we imagine, at least, that it possibly once was. All the technology as well. So we're bombarded with so much, and it's not just family things and life circumstance things, but it's environmental things, right? It's in our food, air, water, all of the Wi-Fi and EMFs. It's just like this complete bombardment that can be really overwhelming for the body, for our senses. So just take this moment now to try to slow down, okay? Slow down your body, slow down your mind, slow down your breath. Okay, get really, really present with that breath, with what's happening in your body. Okay, there's so much wisdom in the natural state of being, in the natural state of our body. And it requires that slowing down to really tap into that. Okay, getting into that meditative state, that pristine presence. And what do you notice? What do you notice when you come into that space? What messages does your body have for you? What wisdom is it wanting to share with you? We've got to get quiet to hear it. We got to turn off our Wi-Fi, turn off the devices, disconnect from everybody and everything just for a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes a day. Just that much can do wonders for you. Coming in to listen to these sessions. Okay, and we set the intention that, using your Wi-Fi to connect to YouTube, to watch me here. Okay, we're putting a bubble around that. Okay, the benefits are outweighing the negatives in that space. You just set the intention and say, and so it is, and so it is. I still got a lot to keep moving here, guys. Pay attention to what's happening for you. My nose is running a little bit. We're really moving a lot of energy. You're doing a great job sticking with it, staying with it. I am starting to feel that. I'm starting to feel it slow down. I do not feel as bombarded. Okay, I don't feel like the waves are coming at me and going to hit me quite so fast here. We are still a little before half of your life as far as the timeline goes. Just kind of right before half, I feel like. Maybe now we started to, get a little bit of a grip, start to figure a few things out, right? Start making a few decisions for ourselves. It is sounding very buzzy right there, though. Yeah, it's not being bombarded anymore, but there is still some chaos showing up. So I think this is about how those patterns start to kind of ingrain themselves in our lives now, right? The first part of life, we came in chaotic, we came in bombarded. So now those patterns are starting to show up and get ingrained. So just taking a moment to notice what kind of patterns are showing up for you. This feels like anxiety. It's very shaky. You know, that high-pitched, so which makes perfect sense. You know, if we come into a chaotic, overwhelming, bombarding environment, that's going to keep us on edge all the time, right? We're going to be, even if the waves, you know, have slowed down, we have come to expect to be bombarded. So again, that's going to be where it's really important to come in and intentionally slow down to try to retrain that brain, retrain your body, retrain that expectancy, retrain that experience, right? And of course, letting the fork support you through that as they work to help break up those patterns. And we move together here with our intention and our presence and our breath, along with the vibration and the sound and the intention of the fork. Working towards coherence. Yeah, I'm going to need a different fork here. So again, what this is really feeling like to me is when that pattern of anxiety starts to get ingrained, that expectation for chaos, even if things, you know, are physically a little slowed down out there. Okay, so we're just going to continue to breathe through that. Let's continue to break up that pattern of anxiety, the expectation for chaos. Okay, ingraining the instinct to slow down, to slow ourselves down, to come back to our breath, to come back to silence and stillness. Okay. It can be weird when anxiety starts to go away. It can be weird when, you know, chaos isn't constantly showing up in your life anymore. That can. Okay, shake it out, guys. Shake it out. The body wants to move. Wiggle, wiggle, shake, shake. Let it go. Okay, that's feeling better there. But like I was saying, you know, don't mistake peace for boredom. Okay, I feel like, you know, when we come into that new experience of stillness, when we aren't used to it, and that feels weird, right? That people can get bored and they're like, this is weird, there should be something happening. What if there's not? What if it's okay for it just to be more calm, for it just to be slower, for it just to be a little more quiet, okay? Oh, yeah, big deep breath into that one. Feels like there's another bubble showing up here in those mid to late teens. That's a big time for anxiety and busyness, overdoing, overthinking. That's a very heightened period of time for that. So wherever that fits in your life, we are past that half-life mark. Phew. Yeah, little alarm, little trauma right here. Moving into maybe the last third of your life here, but the beginning section of that. It feels like we were starting to, like, you know, when you start to gain a little ground, it's like, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you know, something pulls us back, some kind of trauma event that kind of brings that anxiety right back up, that brings that, knocks us right back into that pattern, you know, and that's okay. That's okay when that happens. It's part of the process. It's part of learning. When we circle back around to old patterns, it just gives us that opportunity to say, oh yeah, I remember how this feels. I remember what this looks like. But I'm coming in with a little bit more information this time, a little more knowledge, a little more wisdom. And how do I want to handle it differently? How do I want to attack this differently? You know, what's going to be my angle this time? Try something new. Okay? Even if it's 1% different. Big breath, big breath. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of that overthinking coming in. You know, we're all these big decisions we have to make in adulthood, so many big things. You know, relationship things, career things, financial things, parenting things. You know, what's happening with our parents at that point. Yeah. Lots of alarming, anxiety-inducing, high tension, high stakes decisions happening in here. And I don't feel like I'm getting knocked over by those waves anymore still, but I do feel that swirling, right? It's like stuck in the overthinking. And we gotta ground into our root, right? Like really get grounded and locked into that space to be able to feel like we're coming from a strong foundation to make those decisions from. You know, you gotta like lock into yourself, lock into your gut, right? So you can feel strong about your convictions, about your decisions. Yeah, there it is. Breathe through it. Feel some of that tension coming off. Let it melt off. That's better. Yeah, reconnect to ground here. Really root in, root in. Coming close to the body now. Coming up on present age. And what are you noticing? How are you feeling now? what's happening inside your body, what wisdom and messages are being offered. What is your body asking of you? Yeah, there's a lot. That overwhelm wants to creep back in. Yeah, I feel it right in here. And we always have the choice to come back to stillness. Yeah, lots of overwhelm still stuck right here. Okay, shaking it out, moving it out. Let's bring in that wah, 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 wah. So everywhere you're feeling overwhelmed right now, okay, everywhere that's showing up in your life right now, okay, bring in that compassion, love, kindness, understanding, the wisdom of the body, okay, the wisdom that you're carrying forward from all your past experiences. Bring it all into the center right now. Okay, put your hand right over that root chakra. Bringing in that warmth, kindness, compassion. Good job. Almost there, almost there. Oh, there it goes. All right. So we're dropping into the center now. Okay, everything we've just scooped up, let it fall in. Time to recycle. Keep your breath going. Feeling that tension and anxiety and overwhelm just drop in, just melt down, just fall off. Just a little bit more here. All right, warming up that water, letting it all integrate together, mixing all that paint together, however that shows up for you. Starting to create that new pattern now. What do you want to do with all this new energy that's just been returned back to you? What new intentions do you want to set around this? Okay, around busyness, overdoing, overthinking. How do you want that to look? How do you want that to feel in your life? What intentions do you have? Keep breathing through it. Oh, nice job. Nice job as we move it all the way through. All right, guys, now we're going to start to bring this to a close. We're going to wrap you up, okay? Just really integrating all that energy from today, all throughout your whole system. Connecting your will with divine will. Connecting yourself back into the big picture, however that looks for you. Connecting those new intentions into the big picture, right? We're informing your field, informing the universe, okay? These are my new intentions. This is what I have just cleared. This is what I've just done today. Okay. Deep breath here. Let that come in all the way. Okay, we're just creating safe, healthy boundaries for you and your biofield here. Okay, guys. Take a nice deep breath here. Start bringing yourself back into the present moment, okay? Shake out that body, do a little stretch, whatever feels good. Okay, start to sit up if you would like to. Opening those eyes, returning to the present moment. Okay. Beautiful work on your part. Thanks so much for being here with me through this first video, through our first exploration of the root chakra. Again, if you have any questions, please post them below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you'd like to go deeper, please look below for our links where you can book individual sessions with Maxine and I. And stay tuned for more from the Attuned Tribe. Thank you.